Welcome back, troglodytes, to the Trogly's Guitar Show, your daily dose of guitar information. Happy Trade Tuesday, everybody! If you remember from last week, we traded the Glary acoustic guitar for 2 pedals locally that I had to drive up to Michigan for. Now, unfortunately, the Nano Neo Mistress has not been traded yet. There's one in the works, but if you're interested in that, it is still available. I did end up splitting them apart. But for today, we get to tell the story of the Holy Stain. Was a multi-effects pedal that had a bunch of different reverbs and some really fun stuff in there, and I ended up taking a trip to Sweetwater to meet for a trade. I was going there anyways to pick up the Michael Clifford signature melody maker. You can check out that review, but then I met this guy who traded me my first ESP LTD. So today we are going to take an in-depth look at the LTD EC-10. LTD is the budget version of ESP. Similar to how Epiphone has Gibson and Squier has Fender, these are the affordable instruments of the brand. Now, I was curious, what does LTD even stand for? It sounds kind of cool, and ESP is short for Electric Sound Products. But LTD, apparently it just means limited, which was my first guess. So this is LTD's entry-level instrument. They sell for $199 new at the store with a gig bag. They come in black, red, and blue. They feature a maple neck with a thin U shape. And then they come with what is advertised as an engineered hardwood fretboard. I'm not quite sure what that means, but you know, it kind of looks like rosewood a little bit, so it's all right by me. It's got 24 extra jumbo frets with a basswood body and passive ESP designed LH100 humbuckers. You've got a master volume, you have a 3-way toggle switch, traditional bridge and tailpiece, and a 3-on-a-side headstock design. It's a pretty standard instrument, right? But I want to talk about some of the features that I really enjoyed, even as a Gibson purist. First off, they have this thing going on back here. Yes, it's a bolt-on neck, but notice it's slightly sculpted there to make playing in the higher registers a little bit easier. On top of that, they have this scoop right there, so your hand has somewhere to go. I mean, it is pretty comfortable to play high up on this instrument. I mean, it's not perfect. It's not an all-access heel joint or anything, but I mean, it's kind of similar to the Les Paul Modern thing, except for LTD actually rounded this edge off. This sculpting right here, I can't tell if it actually does anything. I think it's just mainly for aesthetic purposes. But something else that does something is this whole big old comfort carve right here. Now Gibson, when they do something like this, it kind of does this. Whereas this one, they just kind of sand the middle of the body away. On top of that, you have this carved out to make it more comfortable for your arm to rest on. I mean, in many ways, you could say this is technically superior to a Les Paul because they've made some modern advancements to it. I mean, another feature I love here, maple neck, but straight from the 70s, you've got a nice little volute at the back of the headstock. I mean, this thing has so many unique, interesting comfort features and just stylistic choices that I do enjoy. However, these guitars are just painfully plain. I mean, take a look at a photo of one that doesn't have stickers on it. I decided to leave these stickers on it because it kind of gave it a punk vibe in a way. I mean, I like this little monkey guy here. I'm not quite sure what these birds are. He told me, but I forgot. Crybaby, obviously the wah pedal. We've got Death Wish Coffee and Battlegrounds. There was one right here, but it was kind of religiously charged, so I thought, yeah, this is a guitar channel, not a religion channel. So I took that off. But I also took that off because I was curious if there would be any residue if somebody wanted those off. And after ripping that off, using a little bit of Goo Gone, I do not see any shadows. So hey, if stickers aren't your thing and boringly plain is, I will gladly rip the rest of them off for you. But as far as any history on this particular guitar, he bought it. He got it real cheap at Guitar Center. He just wanted a Holy Stain to play around with. It did him a lot more good than this guitar did. He slapped the stickers on because he was bored one day and he had them laying around. So let's go ahead and throw this one on the workbench. We'll take a look at its individual parts. I mean, it's a cheap guitar, but hey, might as well, right? All right, let's take a look at the pickups here. As far as the made in China import stuff goes, these pickups look fairly well made. You can see there is a marking right here. It says KD and it has a diamond under it and it says pickup neck 50. Then your bridge has the same one, but it says pickup bridge 52.2. So I always like it when manufacturers label their pickups in a way that doesn't fall off like a sticker. These appear to be pretty hot pickups. I get 11.11 on the neck. And the bridge is reading a 14.73k ohms. The pickup cavities also look pretty good. You just got this flat matte paint over everything, so it's a nice smooth satin finish. It's not glossy or anything like that. And I personally like guitars like that, even though it's technically an inferior way to do them. But as you can see right here, as you rub it with your fingers, it will eventually naturally become glossy. You can see that on the neck of this one as well. The bridge is a tunematic style. On the back it says KD2, and you can adjust your action by using a flathead screwdriver. The bridge is full weight and it is marked KD1. And you've got your metal knurled knobs on the side for a master volume, master tone. No coil splitting or anything fancy like that, just standard electronics with the 3-way toggle switch. And I've got to say, this feels pretty nice compared to some other import models. There's a great satisfying click to each position. Looking at the fretboard here, you know, for not being rosewood, it looks pretty good. You've got 24 frets, which is 2 additional frets than you normally see. Now, are the frets sharp or anything? Not really. I don't feel any fret sprout, but along the edges, I guess you could say they are a little bit sharp. You could file those down a little bit more. But, you know, I was pretty happy with how this thing played for the price. There you can see the nut, and underneath your truss rod cover, you can see the overseas style of truss rod. Not too much going on the face of the headstock, just the LTD branding. And I've got to say, it's really hard to come up with an original headstock design, and I think they did okay. Kind of copying a Gibson design, but making it something new. They just flipped the book upside down. I get a 1.64 inch nut width, which increases to 2.02 at the 12th, so it's a slightly thinner neck. As far as the width goes, 0.79 at the first, which increases to 0.89 at the 12th. The specs online say it should be 24 3/4 for the scale length. This looks closer to 25 to me. Moving on to the backside, now we can start to see some of the cost cutting. The control route is definitely not as smooth as the pickup routes. That is all rough. They just wanted to get the job done and get this stuff in. This stuff certainly works, but you might get a better tone out of the instrument if you upgrade. The back plate is kind of a cool, almost coffin-like shape. You've got shielding on the back, and it looks like they've sprayed this with shielding as well. The output jack is mounted by 2 screws right there, and it's kind of recessed a little bit there. You have nice large strap buttons on these guys. Not quite as nice as a strap lock or anything, but they definitely do the job. One thing to note about this one is it's not completely secure. I mean, you can move it around like this, but if you tighten that, the screw just keeps spinning. Now, I used it without any problems, but you might want to consider filling and re-drilling that. The top button did not give me any issues though. LTD neck plate, and this is the back of the neck. You've got some light impression marks on here, but overall the condition of this thing's actually pretty darn good. It says designed by ESP, and here's your serial number. Another thing I kind of like about this is it's not too heavy but not too light. 7 pounds, 5.7 ounces. Now let's go ahead and hear how this sounds through my Mesa Boogie Mark 525. really impressed with this. The only other things I can compare this to is like the Epiphone Special 2 that I started out with, and that Dean EVO Evolved from Vintage Origins instrument. This ESP is better than the Dean. I'll tell you that. The Dean was a fantastic guitar, but it doesn't quite feel as good as this. This almost feels a little bit more polished. I mean, again, I think it comes down to the comfort features. I mean, this felt really good to play to me. Is it better than the Epiphone? Yes, I would probably say it's better than the Epiphone from my memory as well. I'm surprised just how much I like this instrument. So if anybody ever emails me going, hey, I've got $200, what should I buy? I think I might actually start suggesting these guys. But what was bad? I mean, the pickups. They surprised me how good they could sound. After the Dean, that was pretty much the only thing I ever complained about that one on. But these ones, based on my memory, seemed a little bit tighter, not quite as flubby. I mean, they're not high-end pickups by any means, but they definitely did the job. The only thing I really need to knock this guitar for is intonation. The super jumbo frets here, maybe it's just me, but I always pull those things out of tune just with my natural fret handing. But I ran this thing through drop B as well as standard tuning. So, I mean, that's some of it too. I don't have super heavy gauge strings on here. But even in standard tuning, there was still a little bit to be desired for. But who knows, maybe you could adjust that a little bit better with the Tune-o-matic bridge. So overall, I'm very happy with this trade. These things seem to go used for about 80 to 120 bucks, so I think this will definitely be a nice trade up where we make at least $40 extra than we would have if we had sold the Holy Stain. So I hope you guys enjoyed this installation of Trade Tuesday and heard my thoughts on this LTD EC-10. If you are interested in trading me something for this instrument, you can email me at tradetrogly@gmail.com. Right here, just send me an email. Don't send it to me on Reverb. Don't send it to my other email. It's so much easier if it's just in that one centralized location. All right, thank you, Trogly, for watching, and we will see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.